Revealed: How a Billionaire Discovers the Heartwarming Dance of a Poor Cleaner and Incredible Life Transformation. Ethan Cartwright leaned back in his plush leather chair, the view from his high-rise office a dizzying spectacle of ambition and affluence. The shimmering skyline stared back at him, reflecting his wealth but not his happiness. Somewhere in that gleaming maze of glass and steel, laughter rang out at dinner tables he had forsaken for endless meetings. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life, each extravagant gala only amplifying the chasm between him and the warmth of connection. Meanwhile, in a struggling neighborhood across town, Maria swept the dusty floors of the community center. At 32, she had already weathered storms life threw her way. As she cleaned, the vibrant rhythm of traditional music filled the air, spilling into her heart. Maria danced while she worked, her movements light yet filled with a sense of purpose, each twirl echoing dreams she held for her son, Victor. Here, amidst peeling paint and worn-out furniture, she ignited hope. Ethan stepped out of his office one afternoon, feeling a strange pull as if the world beyond his glass walls called him home. He strolled into the community center, drawn by the pulsating beats. And there she was. Maria twirled with a grace that dismantled the steel walls enclosing his heart. He stood captivated, as she poured herself into the dance. In her, he saw authenticity and life in vibrant colors, a sharp contrast to the dull, monotonous world he knew. Emotions swelled inside him, joy and yearning warred for dominance. Wow! He thought, unable to tear his gaze away. For a brief moment, he forgot his wealth and status, forgetting the suffocating emptiness. He lost himself in the rhythm, the lightness of her spirit whispering of connections he had long abandoned. But this life-changing moment wouldn't he simply spring open doors? Far from it. When Ethan approached Maria, offering her a chance to showcase her dance at his next gala, it should have been a celebration. Instead, whispers surrounded her like a fog. Was it charity? Did he really understand her struggles? Maria felt her proud heart constrict in her chest, battling the stinging shame of being a charity project. Would people question her worth? Could he, a billionaire, really grasp the weight of her reality? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night of the gala crept closer, a storm of tension brewing between them. Would she step onto that stage, exposing her heart, her struggles, her dreams? And what of Ethan? Could he face the judgment of his elite circle? As silence hung thick in the air, both were at a crossroads, standing at the brink of transformation or humiliation. What would happen when the music started, the lights dimmed, and the spotlight illuminated the vulnerability they were both afraid to embrace? Could they bridge the chasm of their lives, or would fears seal their fates apart in the shadows? The answers remained elusive, leaving them and us waiting on the edge of discovery. Ethan stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his bow tie with unsteady hands. The gala was just hours away, and anticipation buzzed like electricity in his chest. He should feel excitement, but an undercurrent of doubt seeped into his thoughts. What if they saw straight through this? The thought of his elite friends scrutinizing him, whispering behind hands, made his stomach knot. He glanced at his reflection, the polished exterior of a billionaire hiding a man whose heart was infinitely more fragile. Meanwhile, Maria paced in her small apartment, rehearsing the words she wanted to say to Ethan. The thought of performing at the gala felt like juggling fire, thrilling yet terrifying. What would she wear? Would the clothes conceal the vulnerability she felt? She imagined the glow of crystal chandeliers against her bronze skin, and momentary joy fluttered in her chest, but it quickly faded. The weight of judgment loomed larger than the spark of hope. Victor bounced around the room, oblivious to the anxiety swirling inside her. He twirled as she had taught him, a mini whirlwind of energy, laughter spilling from his lips. His innocence tugged at her heart. She couldn't let this opportunity slip away. There was something beautiful about how effortlessly her son embraced joy. Maria smiled, yearning to feel that lightness herself. Later that evening, as the gala officially commenced, Ethan greeted guests with a charming smile. But inside, he was a world away from the laughter and clinking of glasses. The camera flashes felt like a spotlight on an actor rather than a genuine moment of connection. As he mingled with the elite, he kept searching the crowd, his heart racing in anticipation of Maria's arrival. A strange comfort enveloped him at the thought of sharing the stage with her. He viewed her talent not as a novelty, but as a key to rediscovering joy, a reminder of something he had lost long ago. Finally, Maria walked through the entrance, nerves coiling tighter with every step. Clad in a simple yet elegant dress, her beauty shone through her anxiety. She momentarily blended into the crowd but was noticeably different from the rest. They looked polished and pristine, but Maria was real, a radiant force drawn from struggles and triumphs. As she approached the side of the stage, she saw Ethan glancing her way. 1,000 thoughts collided in her mind. Would he treat her as an equal? Would he show her respect? The warmth in his smile gave her courage, but the whispers of doubt crept back in. The dim lights softened the room, creating a thick atmosphere of anticipation. A hush fell over the audience as the maestro raised his baton. Here it was the moment they both feared and desired. With a deep breath, Maria stepped into the spotlight, the music painting a scene of freedom. But just as she began to dance, a sudden thought halted her. What if she revealed too much? What if her past eclipsed this moment of potential? Ethan, watching her from the side, felt the weight of those fears too. His pulse quickened. He understood the fragility of this moment. They were both on the brink of something profound, but could they leap into the unknown together? As the very first note quivered in the air, the crowd held its breath, eager for what was to come. Would this be her moment of liberation or a step back into the shadows? The stage was set, but only fate knew the outcome. What if one dance changed their lives forever? The first note wove into the air like a delicate thread, pulling Maria into its embrace. She could feel her body responding, the rhythm igniting a familiar fire she thought had been snuffed out. She moved, hesitant yet deliberate, as the music whispered stories of resilience and hope. Each step was a declaration, a way to overcome the shadows of self-doubt that had loomed over her for so long. Ethan stood captivated. He had watched countless performances, but this felt different. Maria didn't just dance, she poured her heart into every move, and with it came a collective gasp from the audience. They were transfixed, witnessing not merely a show, but an ethereal expression of life as struggles and triumphs. As she spun, the confidence started to blossom. Eyes closed, she lost herself in the music. The world around her faded away, leaving only her and the melody. But as she opened her eyes at the crescendo, she caught Ethan's gaze piercing through the crowd, a connection that anchored her in the moment. She felt seen. Suddenly, an unexpected wave of anxiety washed over her, drowned out by the music's swell. What if she faltered? What if all those judgments crept back in, dragging her down from this high? Just as she felt herself wavering, she recalled Victor's laughter, his pure joy in simple things. That thought pushed her forward, not just for herself, but for him too. On the other side, Ethan's internal battle raged. Every twirl, every leap brought him back to memories he had buried. He remembered nights lost in work while the world outside thrived. Maria was a window to emotions he had avoided, the reminder that vulnerability could lead to strength. Observing her, he realized how deeply he craved authenticity, and how often he shielded himself from it. This moment sparked a longing in his chest, one that made him question everything about the life he led. As the performance crescendoed, Maria felt as if she was flying, spinning around a universe trembling with possibility. This was liberation, this was reclaiming herself. She poured everything into her final movement, a leap that met the music's climax, a release of pent-up fear and the embrace of newfound hope. The audience erupted into applause, rising to their feet, their excitement washing over her like a warm wave. Yet, amidst the clamor, she caught a glimpse of Ethan's eyes. They gleamed with admiration, perhaps even something deeper, something she dared not hope for. Breathless, she returned to the side of the stage, the adrenaline leaving her shaking. Ethan was there, waiting, capturing her in a magnetic gaze. "You were breathtaking," he said softly, his voice cutting through the muffled echoes of the applause. But what if she started, her vulnerability creeping back in, threatening to undermine the moment? But Ethan shook his head. "Don't think about that now. Just let this moment be enough." His words settled around her, and for the first time, she felt that perhaps it was possible to let go of fear. But just as they shared a breath, the audience's applause transformed into whispers, drawing attention to an unforeseen commotion at the back of the gala. A figure stumbled forward, creating a ripple of unease. Maria's heart raced again, her embrace of hope faltering as anxiety flooded back. Ethan felt it too, the tension in the air thickening. What was about to unfold? Would this moment, their moment, be disrupted, or would it lead to revelations either of them expected? As the whispers grew louder, Maria's heart pounded in anticipation. What truth was lurking just around the corner? The figure staggered closer, the crowd parting like waves before a storm. Maria squinted through the haze of excitement, trying to make out the details. It was a man disheveled and frail, his shirt untucked and stained. She felt an inexplicable jolt in her chest. Who was he, and why did he look so out of place here? The whispers grew sharper, filling the air with a blend of curiosity and apprehension. "Is he okay?" someone muttered. Maria's heart raced as she realized he was heading toward the stage, and instinct took over. She had just found her voice through dance, and now someone needed her help again. Ethan stepped forward, the warmth in his gaze shifting to concern. "Let me," he said, becoming the calming presence she had just felt for herself. But Maria shook her head. "No," I think she hesitated as the man drew nearer. There was a wildness in his eyes, as though he were searching for someone. As he reached the edge of the stage, the music faltered, and silence descended. The world held its breath. "Maria!" he gasped, voice cracking like fractured glass. "Please, I need to talk to you." The crowd held their own collective breath, caught between disbelief and sympathy. What was this man doing here? Maria's stomach twisted. "Do I know you?" she called, her heart thumping violently against her ribs. He looked familiar, but memories felt like ghosts, fleeting and elusive. "I'm sorry," he said, stepping forward, urgency in his every breath. "I'm Victor's brother. I came as soon as I heard." His voice trailed off, the weight of untold grief hanging in the air. Gasps rippled through the audience. Ethan shot a glance at Maria, his expression a mix of confusion and empathy. Victor's name sent shockwaves through her. All this time she'd kept her brother's struggles tucked away, locked inside a vault of shame. Why hadn't she ever reached out? The guilt pinched at her like a vice. "Victor's, what happened?" Maria's voice had become faint, trembling at the edges. She couldn't breathe, visions of her brother's carefree laughter hanging like a watercolor in her mind, freshly painted and now fading. "He's in the hospital," Victor's brother continued, his brow furrowed with grief. "He was in an accident." He stopped, overwhelmed by the spill of his own emotions, the raw pain in his voice resonating with an unmistakable sincerity. A wave of panic crashed over her. She had been dancing for hope, not knowing he was fighting for survival just miles away. The ache deepened, and suddenly the applause around her sounded distant and hollow, fading into the background as anxiety gripped her throat. Ethan placed a comforting hand on Maria's shoulder, grounding her in his presence. "What do you want to do?" he whispered, his voice a soothing balm against the chaos consuming her. Maria's pulse quickened as she looked at the man before her, the embodiment of heartbreak. The dance that had once liberated her felt irrelevant now, overshadowed by the reality threatening to tear her apart. She turned back toward Ethan, determination igniting within her. "We need to go. I need to be with him." The audience, still hushed, looked on as her world shifted in a profound moment. The music, the applause, even her dance, everything felt small in comparison to what truly mattered. But just as Maria and Ethan prepared to step away, a flicker of movement caught Maria's eye. In the shadows, just beyond the bright lights of the gala, another figure lurked, shrouded in anonymity and watching with keen interest. Its presence sent a shiver down her spine, burning questions in her mind. Who were they? And why were they watching? The invisible tension clung in the air, thickening the moment with uncertainty and fear. What would Maria uncover as she moved toward the unknown? Maria's heart raced as she caught the silhouette lingering in the shadows. It was a stark contrast against the vibrance of the gala. She felt exposed, like a dancer stripped of her costume, standing naked under the harsh light. Who was watching her? And more importantly, why did it feel like a thread was being pulled, connecting her to this mysterious figure? Maria? Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts. He squeezed her shoulder gently. Are you all right? The crowd buzzed with a mixture of sympathy and confusion. Maria forced herself to look away from the shadow and back to Victor's brother. His face was a mask of desperation, mirroring the turmoil in her own heart. Time felt paralyzed, stretching out as the world outside this little pocket of grief faded into nothing. I have to go. Her voice was barely above a whisper, uncertainty tempting a flood of doubt. What if she faced the truth and it was unbearable? You don't have to do this alone, Ethan said, his tone steadying her racing thoughts. The warmth of his gaze filled the void, anchoring her to the present. In that suffocating silence, something shifted within Maria. She inhaled deeply, shoving aside the panic. No, I need to do this. For him. It was a promise, not just to Victor, but to herself. With one final look at the shadow, she turned to the small stage and slipped away from the noise and attention. Come on, Ethan said, falling into step beside her as they navigated through the throng of onlookers, still stunned by the sudden disruption. The music that had moments ago felt like a lifeline now played an irrelevant tune to her ears. As they reached the exit, Victor's brother grabbed Maria's arm. Thank you? It's a long drive, and well, I'm sorry to put this on you. But we need all the help we can get. Maria nodded, the gravity of his words sinking in further. She had always kept a distance from Victor's troubles, uncomfortable in her own skin. Yet as she approached the hospital, a flicker of determination burned brighter within her. The hospital loomed ahead, its stark lights pouring out into the cold night like a beacon. It was a fortress of hope and despair, the walls steeped in stories of life and loss. As they entered, the sterile smell of antiseptic washed over her, and her stomach churned. What room? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Room 203, his brother replied, his eyes clouded with fear. They walked in tandem, and with each step, Maria prayed she could face whatever lay behind that door. When they reached the threshold, Maria took a breath, steeling herself against the tide of emotions swelling inside her. Ethan stayed close, a silent support as the door creaked open. Her brother lay there, pale against the sterile white sheets, the faint beeping of machines creating a rhythm of urgency. It felt surreal, as if she had stepped into an alternate universe where everything once vibrant had faded to gray. Victor, the whisper escaped her lips like a prayer. He stirred slightly, blinking as if waking from a long dream. The faintest hint of a smile tugged at his lips, and Maria's heart beat faster. Maria? His voice was scratchy, worn out. Tears blurred her vision, and she rushed to his side, forgetting the world around her. I'm here. I'm here. But just as their eyes locked, the shadow from earlier slipped into view, lingering just outside the doorway. Maria's heart sank, that same shiver running down her spine again. Who were they? Did they know something she didn't? The air thickened with unspoken connections and secrets waiting to unravel. What is it? Ethan's voice rolled through the tension, pulling her gaze away from the figure. Maria's heart thudded painfully in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that more was at play, woven into the fabric of this moment. What awaited her beyond this door, and what truth hovered just out of reach? Something feels wrong, she whispered, a chill creeping in as the shadowy figure lingered, their intentions unclear. And then Victor blinked again, confusion flickering across his face. What's happening? The moment hung heavy, teetering on the edge of revelation. Time was slipping through her fingers again, and she needed to act. Maria stood frozen, caught between the warmth of her brother's presence and the cold weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. Every instinct screamed at her to run to Victor, to shield him from whatever looming threat awaited them just beyond the threshold. "Victor, are you okay?" Her voice wavered, but she pressed on. Each rapid beat of her heart mirrored the fluttering hope and dread swirling within her. He glanced around, confusion still etched into his features. "I don't know. I feel something is off." Just then, the shadows shifted. A figure slipped into the harsh light, revealing an unrecognizable face, but not an unfamiliar aura. The stranger looked hauntingly familiar, resembling someone from Maria's past, the ghost woven into the fabric of her memories. A fleeting rush of recognition washed over her. "Who are you?" Maria demanded, stepping protectively in front of Victor, instinctively defensive. "I'm here to help," the figure said, their voice steady yet low, like an echo from a distant past. Maria's heart raced with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Help? You're just going to waltz in here after all this time?" The sharpness in her tone didn't hide the pain. Memories of laughter and betrayal flooded her mind. "Please, just listen," the stranger insisted, eyes glistening. "Victor needs answers, and I know things I should have told you both a long time ago." Ethan stepped forward, a barrier between Maria and the stranger, but she could see the flicker of intrigue in his eyes. The entire situation felt surreal, like being trapped in a dream where she couldn't control the narrative. "Let us just keep things calm," Ethan suggested, clearly sensing the fragile state of the room. "If you have something to say, say it." Victor's breathing intensified as he turned his head toward the shadowy figure, a hint of familiarity in his expression. "Who are you to speak about answers?" "That's exactly why I'm here," came the reply, almost pleading. "All those questions about your father, about the night he died." Silence engulfed them, each person lost in their own thoughts. Would that night be the key to everything? Maria felt every nerve in her body tingle with pain and anticipation. "And what do you know about it?" Maria pushed, desperate not to let fear anchor her to the ground. "I know who is really responsible," the figure said, the weight of their statement rippling through the room. "But it's more than just that. It's about Victor and about family. There's a connection that runs deeper than we ever understood." Maria's heart sank further, threads of fear unraveling at the edges of her composure. Victor glanced at her, and they exchanged a look laced with uncertainty, the shared burden of their family's past pressing heavily against them. "Tell us," Victor finally urged, his voice stronger despite shaking hands. "I want to know." The stranger hesitated, the silence thick with unspoken truths. "It isn't just about revenge. It's about forgiveness too, and love lost in the shadows." With that, a change washed over the room, morphing the atmosphere from dread to an engulfing anticipation. But just as the stranger moved to reveal more, the phone in Victor's room buzzed loudly, breaking the tense air like glass shattering. "Stay here," Maria whispered to Ethan, who nodded, instinct taking over. With her heart in her throat, she turned, ready to answer it, praying the call wouldn't spell disaster. The world outside felt like a storm brewing, and she was at the center, just a choice away from unraveling everything. With a trembling hand, she picked up the receiver, ready for whatever news awaited her. And right as she said hello, an unexpected voice filled her ear. "Maria, it's time, we need to talk." Who was on the other end? Would they hold the final piece of the puzzle? Maria's breath caught in her throat as the voice echoed in her ear. It was a voice she recognized, one that hadn't crossed her mind in years but surfaced now like a dormant memory. "Is this some kind of joke?" she asked, her pulse racing. The figure in the room with them seemed to still, sensing the gravity of her reaction. "Listen, Maria," the voice insisted, a mix of urgency and sadness defining each word. "I know you must be scared. But we have to meet. There's so much you don't understand." "Who are you?" Maria demanded, anger flaring momentarily, eclipsing the flickers of bewilderment. She glanced back at Victor and Ethan, who were watching her with palpable concern, the tension thickening further. Victor's eyes searched her face, pleading for a connection, the promise of answers that hung just out of reach. It's your mother," the voice finally revealed, each word dropping heavy in the air. The world around Maria seemed to tilt, and everything blurred momentarily. The figure across the room shifted uneasily, as if they felt the impact of the revelation too. My mother? Maria echoed, a rush of disbelief cascading over her. How could you even be calling me? There was a long pause. I know. You have every right to be angry. But there are things you need to know about your father, about our past. You've been misled, and I need to explain. Please meet me at the old cafe on Maple Street. I can't talk about this over the phone. Maria's heart raced, messages swirled through her mind. She had spent years trying to bury her feelings about her family, about the gaps in her life, and now they threatened to pull her under again. Memories flashed of childhood laughter turned to silence, the empty chair at family dinners. Maria Victor's voice broke through her thoughts, strong yet filled with worry. What's going on? She realized she hadn't answered the call yet. I need to go. The words spilled from her lips unbidden. She says she has answers about Dad? Ethan exchanged a look with Victor, the air around them charged with emotion. Maria felt a jolt of guilt at the thought of leaving them behind, but the gravity of her mother's words was too strong. No! Victor exclaimed, stepping forward. What if this thing is a trap? You can't just go running to her like it's nothing. I don't even know if I can trust her. Maria shot back, the urgency of the moment igniting frustration within her. But I can't ignore it either. I need to understand this part of myself, Victor. Then let us come with you, Ethan suggested, reaching for her arm. We're all in this together, right? But Maria shook her head, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and resolution. I have to do this alone. I can't drag you into whatever mess this is. If this is real, then maybe it's time I face my past. Victor studied her, disappointment warring with a flicker of admiration. Be careful, okay? He finally said, his voice softening. I don't want to lose you too. The weight of his words lingered as she took a step back, still clutching the phone. The stranger faded into the background as anticipation gripped her, the promise of revelation lying just ahead. I'll be careful. I promise, she assured him before hanging up and making her way toward the door, leaving behind the air heavy with uncertainty. As she opened the door, the cold air hit her face. The world felt foreign, like a fresh canvas awaiting her next move. But as soon as she stepped outside, she felt a presence behind her. The stranger stood, watching, a spectral reminder that the tangled history of her family could no longer be avoided. What was she about to unearth? What truths would come crashing back into her life? As Maria took a deep breath and set off down the street, a chilling realization settled in her gut. The answers she sought might not be as freeing as she hoped. With every step, she felt the past loom larger, threatening to engulf her. What if the truth was more painful than the silence? The cafe on Maple Street was nestled between a vintage bookstore and a thrift shop with a sign that hung slightly askew. Maria stood outside, her breath misting in the crisp air, hesitation wrapping around her like a heavy cloak. She glanced into the window, her heart hammering. Inside, the familiar scent of coffee mingled with the warmth of pastries, but it felt unwelcoming, almost too bright against the shadows she carried. She pushed the door open and stepped inside, the bell chiming overhead. Every table was occupied, yet her gaze locked on a woman sitting alone at the far corner, a veil of familiarity draped over her face. The years had etched lines into her mother's features, but the same eyes, pools of sorrow and longing, met Maria's. Mom? Maria's voice trembled as she approached, the distance between them filled with unspoken words. Maria, you came, her mother said, a mixture of relief and regret swirling in her tone. She gestured to the empty seat, and Maria reluctantly slid into it, her stomach twisting with anticipation. I need to know why you left. Maria cut straight to the heart of it, her emotions bubbling just beneath the surface. All those years I thought you just didn't care. I never stopped caring, her mother replied, her voice thick with emotion. It's complicated, Maria. There's so much I didn't tell you, so much I wanted to protect you from. Protect me from what? Maria demanded, her fists clenching. The truth? Her mother took a deep breath, hands visibly shaking. It's about your father. You never understood. Wasn't he just a man who left us? There was more to it, manipulation, threats. I was trying to shield you. The air crackled with tension. Maria felt every heartbeat echoing in her ears. Why now? Why after all these years? Because it's time you know the whole story. The truth can set you free, but it can hurt just as much. Her mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for a moment, the world outside faded away. Maria's anger ebbed slightly, replaced by a soft thrum of hope mixed with uncertainty. But I thought I was past this. Why do you have to come back now, after everything? The cafe felt smaller as silence enveloped them. Maria was searching her mother's face for signs that might make sense of the chaos inside her. I'm here to help you understand, but it's going to take time, her mother said finally. Then an unexpected sound interrupted them, a crash from the entrance. Maria's head whipped around to see a man shouting. You can't just bring her here. She's not safe. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, spilling tension across the room. Anxiety prickled at Maria's skin. She turned back to her mother, confusion swirling in her mind. What does he mean? Her mother began, but then the man stormed toward them, eyes wild and frantic. Stay away from her, he yelled, pointing a finger at Maria's mother. You're dragging her into this mess again. Fear twisted through Maria, a more potent beast than the anger that had propelled her here. Her mother's face paled, fear freezing her for a moment. I didn't want this for you, Maria. They're here to protect you, but… Protect me from what? Maria's voice rose, the implications of her mother's words making her heart race. Suddenly, the door swung open again, and two more figures entered behind the man. The air thickened with an urgency that felt suffocating. What had she stepped into? Who were those people, and did they hold the keys to her family's fractured past? As Maria's pulse quickened, the reality of her mother's secrets hung like a dark cloud ready to burst. The truth was knocking at the door, but would she be prepared for what came flooding in? Maria's heart pounded, and she could feel her breath hitch in her throat as the tension in the cafe thickened. The sudden confrontation sent shivers down her spine. Her mind raced, trying to grasp what danger hovered over them. The man who had shouted wore a grim expression, as if he were guarding a dark secret, not just for her mother but for herself as well. Who are you? Maria finally managed to ask, eyes darting between the man and her mother. Stay back, he barked, raising a hand as if he could physically shield them from the truth. The two newcomers moved closer, eyes scanning the room and locking on Maria with an intensity that made her skin crawl. Listen, Maria, her mother said in a soothing tone, but the fear in her voice betrayed her calm demeanor. These people are… they're here because of your father. They've been following us. Following? A whirlwind of confusion and dread churned inside Maria. What do you mean? Why didn't you tell me any of this? I thought I could keep you safe. I didn't want you to carry this burden. Her mother's voice cracked, an emotion that felt too deep, too painful to fully articulate. The man stepped forward, his face red with frustration. This isn't about keeping her safe anymore. It's about the truth. We need to get you both out of here. Maria's pulse quickened. Why would we need to leave? That's why you're not safe. Your father, he's not who you think he is, he replied, his words clipped and urgent. He's dangerous. But I don't even know him. Maria spat, a mix of anger and disbelief spilling from her. How could he be dangerous if he's never even been around? You're more involved in this than you realize. The gravity of his statement hit Maria like a punch to the gut. She had thought this meeting would be about uncovering her past, not diving into a rabbit hole filled with fears she'd never faced. Suddenly, one of the newcomers, a woman with striking blue eyes and a determined set to her jaw, stepped closer. Listen, Maria, we're not your enemies here. We've seen firsthand what your father can do. We just want to help you. Maria's brow furrowed, battling against the whirlpool of emotions. Help? How could they help when all they brought was confusion? Help me with what? She asked, letting the weight of her fears spill into the air. The truth is more complicated than you think. There are things in his past that will come back to haunt you. Information he doesn't want you to know, the woman said, her voice steady. Time's running out, the man chimed in, glancing around. If we stay here, we're putting Maria at risk. I'm not going anywhere without answers, Maria replied defiantly, eyes narrowing. Her mother squeezed Maria's hand tightly, pleading without words. Please. You don't understand what we're dealing with. The weight of the decisions before her made Maria feel trapped, suffocated by forces beyond her control. What did she really know about her family? About the secrets that had been allowed to fester and grow in the dark? Doubt crept in. What if they were right? What if her mother had been trying to protect her from someone that could shatter everything she thought she knew? Maria, we've got to go. Now! His voice demanded urgency, and Maria's heart dropped. The cafe, once a sanctuary of memories and comfort, now felt like a cage. With one last, desperate glance at her mother, Maria wrestled with herself, torn between the subversive pull of whatever danger lurked behind her father's absence, and the desperate need for closure. What do I do? She muttered, her voice barely above a whisper, teetering on the edge of determination. But the decision started to crystallize in her mind, and with a resolve she didn't know she had, she grasped her mother's hand tightly, her heart racing as she stepped toward the uncertain future ahead. Okay, let us go, she said, and a collective breath was held in the cafe as they prepared to step into the unknown. The door swung wide as they exited, and the chill of the outside air greeted them like an unwelcome embrace. A world. Outside awaited a world where secrets and truths demanded to be faced. Just remember, you're not alone in this, the woman said, falling into pace beside Maria. The words echoed in her mind, mingling with the endless questions swirling inside. But as they moved through the chilly street, Maria couldn't shake the gnawing feeling. Was she truly ready for whatever revelation was lurking just ahead? Maria, flanked by her mother and the strange figures who promised answers, stepped into the cold night air. The weight of countless uncertainties heavied her heart. The world around her buzzed with life. Cars zipped by, the distant laughter of people floated on the winds. Yet in her chest, there was only stillness, a moment frozen in time. They turned out of the cafe's warm glow and into the dim street, anticipation swirling like fog around them. Maria pulled her coat tighter. Each footstep felt like a leap into unknown territory, riddled with shadows that danced just beyond her vision. Questions screamed in her mind, yet the need for resolution propelled her forward. I'm not sure where we're headed, she said, glancing at the woman beside her. Who are you? But before she could dive into the details, the man spoke up, urgency crawling into his voice. Your father's South people are close. We need to get you somewhere safe, somewhere you can start to process this without interference. Interference? Maria echoed, her skin prickling with fear. Just who is my father, and why does he matter so much? More than you think, said the woman, her eyes locked onto Maria with fierce intensity. He is tangled in something far larger than just a family matter. You're part of that too. What do you mean? Maria's heart raced. Each revelation seemed to uncover a deeper layer of chaos. Above all, something about it felt alarmingly personal. Maria, there's a reason for your mother's absence, the woman continued, her tone gravelly yet sympathetic. It's time to face the past and the truth about who you are. You deserve to know. Maria felt anger boiling just beneath the surface. You don't just get to throw all these words at me. I wasn't looking for this. I wanted answers, yes, but now it feels like I'm wrapped in a mystery I never asked to be a part of. One of the men stepped forward, cutting through the tension. I understand. But what you're feeling, that confusion, that fear, it's valid. Just know that you're not fighting this battle alone. Every step forward pulled Maria deeper into the tumult. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. The vibration was electric against her skin, pulling her back to the reality of the moment. It might be Victor, she murmured, reaching for the phone and freezing at the sight of an unusual number. Anxiety coiled tightly in her stomach. Do you want to answer? Her mother asked, a hint of desperate hope flashing in her eyes. Taking a deep breath, Maria pressed the accept button. "Hello?" Maria, came a breathy voice, barely above a whisper. "Listen to me. It's about your father. You can't trust him." The words ran like ice through her veins. "Who is this?" "You'll know soon enough. Just know he has been lying for years," the voice continued, hurriedly speaking before she could ask more. "If he finds you, it could mean disaster. You must keep moving." Fear gripped her heart, tightening with each passing second. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve the truth, and I couldn't stand by any longer. Find the old warehouse on Bay Street. I can explain everything. He won't expect you there." Maria barely processed the words before the line went dead, and she stared at the device, reeling. What did this mean? Who was this person? And what did they know? Maria? What did they say? Her mother's voice broke through her thoughts, concern etched into every line of her face. "I don't know." Maria's voice quivered, hand shaking. "They said I needed to go to an old warehouse. That it was about my father." "Then we have to go," the man urged, determination sparking in his eyes. "Now! I can't just. What if it's a trap?" Maria hesitated, the panic that had grounded her now hovering just beneath her resolve. "It could be. But staying in the dark is a trap all its own," the woman countered, gently but firmly. "You have to decide. We can't just let this opportunity slip by." The weight of choice hung in the air, and Maria closed her eyes, focusing inward. This moment was hers to command, a crossroads trembling with potential. She could turn away, retreat to the life she knew, or she could plunge into the depths of uncertainty, illuminating the darkness surrounding her past. With a sudden clarity ringing in her heart, she spoke, voice firm. "Let us go." They all exchanged a look, a moment of shared intention sparkling between them. As they set off toward the warehouse, hope mingled with fear. The night stretched ahead, uncertain but brimming with countless possibilities. The shadows loomed, but Maria felt a flame flickering inside her, pushing her forward. "Whatever happens," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else, "I will find the truth. I will reclaim my life." And with that, the four figures moved through the darkened streets, bathed in the light of newfound resolve. A journey awaited the path paved with uncertainty, yet each step brought Maria closer to the answers she so desperately sought. Her past would no longer define her, but instead, she'd redefine it on her terms. Suddenly, a light flickered in the distance, hope and trepidation entwined, waiting on the other side. As they approached the warehouse, the air thickened with anticipation. What would they find? What secrets would spill into the light? All the unanswered questions were about to collide with the truth. You need to subscribe now to catch every exclusive story that unfolds. This is the moment to support your favorite channel. Hit that like button now. Your reactions and feelings matter. Comment below, and let us know how you feel about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to join in on this incredible transformation. Your support makes all the difference.